I find it.
Okay.
Okay, so guys, I guess we can just start. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the NeoLive on Zoom webinar. This is Song Ping from NGD marketing team. And thank you for participating in our very first live session in the form of webinar. So as you may know, NeoLive is a marketing initiative to invite NGD core members and eco-project leaders and pioneering like blockchain experts to join the session and share the latest technological development, industrial insights with the community. So today we are very honored to have Sarah, EG manager from NGD, and Andrey, head of growth from Incognito, here to share their knowledge and thoughts on privacy. So a quick reminder that our session today will have two parts. So in the first part, Sarah and Andrey will go through those very important questions in the form of dialogue, and they will take the open questions from audience in the second part of the session. So, okay, Sarah, Andrew, thank you for waiting, and feel free to start.
Okay. So actually, we all know that we are in the big data space area. So data is really important, and data is created and collected and analyzed every day by leading companies and leading, for example, e-commerce platforms. But individuals have less or even no control over the data shared on the website or e-commerce platforms. So that's a really big problem. So big corporations own the data and access for sharing other person's data all over the world and help them to make their own business decisions or help them to do some personalized services. So data is money. And on the other hand, as we all know that blockchain is a peer-to-peer decentralized ledger technologies. So it's actually an open database. So imagine that if you want to put your data on blockchain, then your data can be read and your data can be read and can be traced by any other third parties or any other individuals. So I believe no companies or no individual would love to put their personal data or financial statements or like transaction histories on blockchain if their data can be read without any restrictions. So that is why privacy is so important for blockchain technologies, even for blockchain technologies. And also, we actually keep looking projects and third parties to help Neo to have that kind of privacy preserving function or features from last year. So we found Incognito and of course, other projects help us to build some solutions. So we have Andrey today together with us to talk about their solutions and our cooperations in details. So Andrey, can you please also give us a brief intro about what's your experience and feelings about privacy in blockchain as space?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sarah. Actually, you just mentioned like quite fundamental things regarding the privacy, what is important, and I will try to not repeat it. But I would mention like a couple things from the community, like more like community side and like privacy, like researcher and developers. And you probably noticed, everybody in community noticed that since the beginning of this year of 2020, everybody started talking about privacy, and it's become on fire, to be honest. So I watch on Twitter and news every week that some other chains like starting development in the implementation ZTP, some other integration, and so on and so on. And good things of all of this announcement and implementation that like, for example, Incognito team, we started, we knew that it's gonna happen. Like, so we believe in blockchain. We know that blockchain will actually absorb the whole financial system in the long term. And in our opinion, the privacy is the last puzzle which left before like some real mass adoption. And the good thing of all this like fire and hype right now is that we started development almost 2 years ago. And when most of people start like just only talking about the plans and ideas, we already have some like live solution which we can present. And Neo is one of the first blockchains which we started implementation of trustless bridge to allow like private transaction for Neo and NFP5, which is also like happy and proud of. And I would like to mention also just like quick, like what, in my opinion, why this like hyping happened. I feel is that there was like last year's like blockchain community and in general was like struggling about, okay, what's going to be next in blockchain. So the everybody forgot about ICO. There was movement about STO, securities and tokenization, and it wasn't like that as many people expected. And the last kick was actually end of year email from Brian Armstrong, which I feel it was actually the real kick because he's some kind of influencer, and he predicted that the next decade will be like time when blockchain absorb industry and when privacy will be like one of the most important topics. Yeah, this is my opinion why everybody like talking about this. And yeah, and also like maybe just to briefly mention, just yesterday, last night I read investigation from Decrypt when they try to understand, try to link like Ethereum holders with real people. And they found actually several big Ethereum holders and linked them together, which is a quite cool investigation for us as readers, but it's probably not that cool or even painful for people who hold or like who like wallet owners, which is like the real like problem right now. So yeah.
Yeah. So we both agree that privacy is so important. So I will give a brief intro about what's Neo's plan in this direction first, and then maybe you can elaborate more in details about our corporations, how you guys help Neo to have privacy functions. So I will share my screen first.
Sure.
Can you get see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so actually, we all know that the goal for Neo is to use smart contract, digital ID, and digital assets to build a smart economy world. So I will give a brief intro about what is digital assets world in blockchain, in my view, in my opinion. So first of all, Neo is the underlying infrastructures which you can put data or tokens and transactions on top of it. And then we have some cross-chain technologies, which is building with ontology and other big players within this industries. And we also have some third parties building some layer 2 solutions on top of Neo for us to have more scalabilities. So on top of this underlying infrastructures, we got some tools which can help us to build a better digital asset world. So that tools will include Oracle, digital ID custodian, and privacy protection and data processing protocols, and also as well stablecoin. So privacy protection and data processing protocol is really important because we know that if we wanted to be the underlying infrastructure, there must be a lot of data to be stored or to be shared or to be to be tracked and trade on Neo. So after we finalize the whole tools to support the digital asset world, and then we can have an asset tokenization or asset digitization. So actually last year, we've already invested in a project called Liquify to do a secure token offering platform on top of Neo, which is regulated. And Liquify is also have already applied license in different jurisdictions to do STO offering. So in this part, we got a lot of good and valuable assets to be issued on top of blockchain and also applied with regulations in different jurisdictions. And after that, then we can do a real digital asset management or circulations, which will include all of these famous or hot DeFi projects as we talked about recently, like credit and lending, like decentralized exchange or centralized exchange, or like payments or liquidity provider or derivatives. So that is the whole pictures, in my opinion, about the digital assets in blockchain. And Neo's main goal is to build the tools part and infrastructure part to be better fit for all kinds of DeFi project to join us, to build on top of Neo, to create a whole world together with us. So privacy, as I mentioned, is a really important tools and functions in this picture. So let me elaborate more on privacy in blockchain space. So now the underlying infrastructure is the same, but we will find a lot of privacy tools like Incognito, use different kind of ways and use different kind of privacy preserving protocols like Mimble, Wimble, zero knowledge proof. I believe Incognito is using ZK Snark and ring signatures and etc. Every kind of privacy preserving protocols or technologies you would love to choose to build the privacy tools or privacy functions or solutions on top of Neo. Because actually now Neo originally cannot support privacy, so we need some third parties to build it on top of Neo to help Neo tokens or even other other NEP5 tokens on Neo to have these privacy features if needed. So and another thing is we wanted to make sure that this privacy is not only to make sure that you can share your asset or your transactions, but also in a regulated and auditable ways. So besides the asset part, we also are planning to do some privacy functions of features for data, especially data management, data ownership management, or data sharing or data processing, like your ID information, like your address or your shopping histories and financial status, etc. All kind of data which you want to store in blockchain, we need to use a more wisely or more secure way to protect the data for every person and individuals. And another part would be that we wanted to have some tools to make sure that the smart contract part can also have privacy features, especially for the input and output, and the executed result of the smart contract can be shielded. So that is a whole picture for the privacy in Neo blockchain we are thinking about. And thanks for Incognito can be part of that functions to Neo. That is my intro about what our plan, Neo's plan regarding this aspect. So maybe Andrea, can you please elaborate more in details about how Incognito's mechanism can work to build layer 2 solutions on top of Neo to help us to have privacy functions?
Sure. Like just Sarah, stop sharing your screen because you're like showing your laptop desktop.
Okay.
Yeah.
There
was actually a quite interesting moment you mentioned in your diagram. You actually split. You show like the fundamental like layer of Neo. Then you like mentioned about cross-chain layer and privacy layer. And the cool thing here is that with integration like between Incognito and Neo, we actually solve these two problems. So we can make Neo cross-chain and private. And let me jump briefly to my deck, and yeah, let me share my screen, and I will explain more what I mean on this. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen well now? Okay, awesome. So as we like mentioned in the beginning, I will not stop on these slides for a long time, which also we mentioned, and you just mentioned, Sarah, that like Neo is starting initiatives in terms of security tokenization, making stable coins, and like future any kind of tokenization based on blockchain. So we also believe in this direction, and we are pretty sure that like the whole planet is actually going to the digitalization, and we're covering the financial industry of financial part of this digitalization. And as you also mentioned, like briefly, let's say when you tokenize stock and you have a shares, you don't want your neighbors or like friends to see this. Maybe some people even don't want to share it with like family members, like who knows. And so this is first thing, right? Then when you like issue in stable coins, right? And you pay for your employee's salary in stable coins, and it's becomes some kind of like corporate problem when like you send, okay, let's say like this, with current like blockchain like infrastructure, if you decide to pay your employees in stable coins, you have like couple options. Firstly, you pay from one wallet to all employees, then everybody actually can trace salaries and expenses and link to each other. The second thing, you can send all this you can send all this like payment from the some kind of exchanges, right? Centralized exchanges, when it's going to be linked to your wallet, and it's still like possible to do like some kind of traceability. Or you can create each time for each transaction one wallet, a new wallet to make this transaction, which is like super annoying. So we feel as more blockchain go to adoption, as more this kind of problems and use cases will be like raised. And this is the reason why we start like working on Incognito protocol. And I would like to highlight is that we're not trying to build like one more privacy coin. Our job here is to build a privacy tool for existing protocols like Neo, Binance, and like even for Bitcoin. So our job is to shield your favorite cryptocurrency. And just like maybe 1 minute to explain about like technology behind Incognito. We actually have a quite interesting mix of technology in cryptography. We mix ring signature, zero knowledge proof, and sharding into one proof of stake privacy network, which focus on delivering privacy to existing blockchain protocols. Then if there will be questions from community, we can actually go like deeper to each layer. But in general, I call it like just fun cryptography mix, which quite unique right now in the industry. And also like we have like one of the best cryptographers on the market, I believe. We were like the first team which make possible generation ZKP transaction from mobile phone. Before us, to generate ZKP, you must have like full node to synchronize the whole blockchain. Then only you can generate the transaction. So we make it like faster, easier, and more user friendly. And the cool thing here, so after our integration with Neo, you will have two options actually to send the Neo privately. Firstly, you can use Incognito wallet, deposit Neo, and like do this transfer, or Incognito mode can be integrated to Neo native wallets, which is, I believe, like much more interesting for Neo users. And yeah, you just keep your favorite tokens and store it privately and transfer send. And yeah, as I mentioned, by implementing like ring signature, we allow you to hide your like wallet balance, receiver and sender addresses, and of course like amount of the transaction, which is like deliver like the full scale privacy. And yeah, about the sharding, so we choose sharding and proof of stake to make the network more efficient, faster, and like to improve the scalability. So we believe in long term, when privacy will be like much important topic than right now, we will need to have like very big and scale network. And maybe last thing to highlight in this, it's also some kind of security point. And let's say when we integrate Incognito as layer 2 to Neo, Neo holders must be sure that it's 100% secure, and then network cannot be hacked. So our team invented Incognito Node. It's a plug and play validation device for proof of stake network, which allow us to get 1,000 validators within 1 month after like mainnet launch. And it's like actively growing. And the cool thing that you don't need to have any kind of knowledge to power like blockchain network. So with this device, we can like guarantee that Incognito chain will be like fully decentralized, and like Neo holders can be sure that network is decentralized and secure in this way. Yeah. And if you allow me, I like stop a little bit in the way how you can actually send Neo tokens privately without any kind of technical deep, but just in simple words, explain how it works. So Incognito connecting to the Neo blockchain as layer 2, and so let's say we have a like smart contract on 2 sides. And if Sarah will want to send Neo privately, so you need to deposit your public Neo into your like private Neo. And then when you do this like depositing, you trigger a Neo smart contract, and this 5 public Neo get locked. Then this smart contract trigger Incognito smart contract and mint 5 private Neo, which is already 100% untraceable and can be like transferred within our network. And and any moment and any balances is untraceable. And let's say if Andrey decide to move back funds to the Neo chain to public, I trigger the same smart contract. And first thing which happened is the private Neo burn in our smart contract, and then burn proof trigger Neo smart contract to unlock public Neo to your deposit to your wallet.
So I have a question over there, because you are actually doing a mapping assets between Neo and your layer 2 solutions. But the question is how you're going to avoid double spending or user fraud.
Oh, in terms of you mean how can we prove that the amount of locked
avoid double spending? Yeah.
Locked Neo. Yeah. So so as I mentioned, any kind of transaction in Incognito chain is untraceable, but there is a tool like smart contract execution, which is public. It's minting private Neo and burning private Neo. So in this case, everybody can check how many public Neo locked and how many private Neo minted. And the same moment and way back, how many private Neo burn and how many is unlocked. So it always must be the same number. And any kind of cheating with this is actually trigger like the community, and any kind of activity here is public. So we believe in this case, it's like good moment to prove that that number of locked Neo exactly the same as number of private Neo on our sidechain.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is probably like my brief introduction. If you have any question later, we can jump back anytime. And maybe just last thing I would like to highlight. So technically, when any kind of projects or businesses or like companies, corporates or government, they will build digital assets on Neo, like whether it's security tokens or stable coins or utility tokens, the privacy breach will work for all of them equally. And yeah, and So people can choose whatever they need privacy or not.
Okay, but how you can ensure that the transactions is untraceable, but also make sure that these can comply with regulations in different jurisdictions, especially as we all know that we have GDPRs I mean, for example, different countries have their own regulations. Maybe they need to audit the people's transaction history, etc. How are you gonna to do this?
Okay, yeah, I knew that you will ask me this question, so I prepared, because to be honest, this is one of the most often asking question, because so businesses when they like want to use blockchain for like tokenization or any kind of activity, they always worry about regulations and compliance. And here's the thing: in the right wallet, you can see types of addresses we have on Incognito. So every user, let's say in basic example in Bitcoin, every user have public address and private key. So they have like two addresses. In Incognito case, we try to make it like more user friendly, and we created like several different type of addresses, depends of like user needs. And I would like to highlight regarding your question, the read-only key. So every Incognito wallet has read-only key, which allow people who has this key to see wallet balance. So technically, if you like do any kind of business, or you get paid in stable coins, and by the end of the year you let's say your country is regulated, right, and mandatory to pay taxes by the end of the year based on your salaries and earnings, and you can use this read-only key to like verify your wallet balance to any kind of third party, to your friends, to your wife, to your government, or like any kind of authority. And I also would like to highlight another just example which probably allow everybody to understand in terms of like taxation regulation, and probably like close this question. Let's say if you sell salmon on fish market, and you always get paid in cash, right? You give a fish and you get a cash, but it doesn't mean that this user like man or woman doing something wrong. They doing business like selling fish, right? And they probably like pay taxes like once per year or once per quarter, but this is their responsibility to submit the amount of the earnings. So, and we believe in digital world is going to be like the same way. Like your regulator, they shouldn't know like all kind of your transaction, but it's your like personal responsibility to report like by the end of the year like your earnings, and then pay like taxation with this. So we believe this tool actually close all kind of questions in terms of like regulation in the future and compliance. So it's full personal responsibility on this. Yeah.
Okay, so actually this kind of read-only key can be shared to other parties or regulators to check or to audit all your, maybe for your balance or your earnings or your transactions, if needed or if necessary. But the data owners have the right and the control to share the access to anybody they want, not any other third party or big companies.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same, like your like wallet with fiat. It's like, for example, like I know that like in China there's like more like trustless society, but for example in Vietnam people prefer to use cash, right? And nobody can just go and open your like wallet to check how much cash you have. But when you report, you actually tell them, okay, this was my earnings.
Okay. So what is the difference between Incognito and other famous privacy coins like Monero and Dash and Zcash?
Oh, actually, it's I think it's my favorite question usually. So as I mentioned on the beginning, we are not trying to build a new privacy coin. We have a native coin in the network, which we use to motivate more validators to join. So it's also like security moment. Like as more validators we have, as more stable and secure network. So we use it only for as work token in the network, but we're not trying to promote or push Incognito as privacy coin. On another way, we like our mission and job is to provide privacy for existing protocols, like for Bitcoin, for Neo, Binance, and in the long term, Incognito is going to be like universal privacy hub. And you mentioned on the beginning that Neo will try to solve like cross-chain transaction problem, right? And with Incognito, it's going to be possible to send or like swap Neo privately to Bitcoin or to any kind of stable coins in the future once it's implemented. So yeah, and another thing which will probably quite interesting, Incognito is more like a hub for these coins when privacy coins can be like tradable for like public coin. Like with our cross-chain tool, you can trade or swap Neo to Monero even without any kind of middleman. Yeah.
I think you've mentioned a really good point that I really, really agree with, because nowadays there's a lot of stable privacy coins in the market, but I believe that the most important thing for privacy project would be offer some privacy functions or tools to existing top 20 blockchain project to help them to have that kind of functions.
Yeah, for sure. And just maybe it's more related to like Neo like users, right? If you like Neo, if you love Neo, why and you want to store like this token, why you should exchange it to any other tokens if it's your favorite project?
Yeah. So actually, I have another question is because you are doing a privacy technology project. So what kind of use cases do you think that will be the the first one to apply the privacy blockchain technologies into large scale?
I think probably like the first key case which like related is just to allow privacy for your financial. So if you have a stable coin or like a security token or central bank digital currency, you hide this. So it's not like use case, it's more like human rights which you get done. And in terms of use cases, I believe that tokenization, which you mentioned also in the beginning, like security tokens and stable coins is like very important directions. And in the long term, I believe like most of like assets will be tokenized. I believe even like stock, shares, and real estate. And if we're talking about some like some very close use cases which can happen even like today or tomorrow, it's of course like payment and payrolls. It's like basic thing which people experience this. So maybe Sarah, maybe let's jump back because I'm like always talking. Maybe you can like I don't know, probably like explain more about also you mentioned before about technical future development of Neo. But what's in terms of like business and your strategy, where actually Neo goes and focus, and yeah.
Yeah. So Neo as an underlying infrastructure. So the first priority for us is to build the technologies more suitable for DeFi projects. because our goal is to build a smart economy world, which means we need more and more digital assets to be tokenized on top of Neo. So the way we do it is we have more and more tools and tech features to help that happen. So we are doing our own oracles, and we are having projects to help us to be more scalable, to have some layer 2 solutions. And we also have privacy solutions. So that is a priority for us to build. And also we are finding a lot of different third parties to in the ecosystem to join us. We welcome all kinds of dApps which is can have a real business use case to use our technologies, or to come to us to find some marketing support or even financial support. And we can togetherly build the whole ecosystems up. That is the future plan in a short word of Neo. Yeah. So I also wanted to see that in terms of the applications of privacy technology in blockchain, I believe that payment, as you mentioned, would be the first one which will use privacy in the futures, because even for China's digital currencies, DCEP, they are still under development. But I think if they are choosing blockchain in the futures, they're gonna to also consider the privacy features for China's digital currencies, because People's Bank of China would not allow that every kind of payments by using their digital currencies can be traced and can be read by any other third parties. So and also I think any kind of use cases or business scenarios which need to use personal data or personal data processing, for example, like personal credit evaluations, we would also need privacy or privacy processing mechanism on blockchain to help them to get the right result, but also to protect the personal privacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite. I feel that it's going to be like very interesting next couple of years, and like when the whole financial system will be digitalized. I also believe that like if Chinese government make this move, so to make central bank digital currency possible, I believe all other governments and countries will follow. It's a very strong movement. And you also mentioned about DeFi, and here is an interesting moment that there's let's say there's some DeFi is going on Binance chain, like some DeFi on like Ethereum, and it's going to be on Neo. And you and like the community in general can actually also consider Incognito is some kind of cross-chain connector between like this kind of DeFi, and people can probably like through this connection, it will be possible like to share liquidity, to share interest, which can make like DeFi even more stronger. And like I would like just highlight like in our the topic, the next question about the future plans, which you just mentioned from your side. And I would like to mention from our side that like we're working on this integration with Neo, and we plan to make it live like this spring. Cannot promise on the beginning of the spring, but let's keep like it like wider to make sure that so the most important thing like is to make sure that everything is secure and private for the people. And we plan to launch this trustless bridge in the spring, and beside the bridge there will be also a cross-chain swap, private cross-chain swap, when users can easily like swap Neo and any P5 tokens with any kind of other digital assets. Within it can be Bitcoin, it can be BNB, it can be Neo USDT, and any kind of, which is I think quite cool thing for the community right now. And yeah, I don't know, from my side, I'm quite done with presentation. Maybe like any kind of, if we have questions, yeah. Or
so I think we've done with our discussions. So I need to thank you, Andrey, and also thank you Incognito project to help Neo to add that kind of privacy functions. And hopefully we can have that function successfully deployed within this year. And let's see how we're going to together build this, trustless ledger for privacy. So, Songping, we've already done with our discussions. Maybe is there any other questions?
So I think there is a like small problem, because I shared a link with our community, and it was actually my link. So everybody.
Okay.
Now understand, because you actually receive a special link, which is for the panelists only. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. So thank you guys for the splendid sharing. So for the audience, if you have any further questions which our guests haven't touched upon, so you can actually use the question Q&A function in this Zoom webinar, and the guests will see your questions and answer.
And yeah, and guys, try to probably send question in some group chat, because yeah, if everybody use my link, then probably group chat makes more sense, because
that's
otherwise,
true. Yeah. So Andrey, actually, I have a question for you. Where are you based?
We are based in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, our the whole team is here. I think on this moment we have around 40 people, and 30 of these 40 people are developers and cryptographers. So we are quite tech-oriented people. And yeah, Ho Chi Minh City. So if anybody will travel around, you can always pass by our office.
Nice. Thank you. So, let's see. So we do have a question here. So Andrew mentioned about the use case of payments with Incognito wallet. So has there any adoption existed?
Yeah, I also mentioned that there's several ways, right, to use privacy. Firstly, you can do this kind of transaction on Incognito wallet, but I believe the most excited thing is then when we call it Incognito mode can be implemented to native wallets of Neo protocol, for example, which is more excited. And then when the Incognito mode is integrated into Neo native wallet, there will also be possible to integrate DeFi services. Let's say if it's on blockchain layer, then it's, of course, again, it's everything transparent, but at the same time, all these DeFi services can be used privately. So you can borrow privately, you can lend privately, and it's also quite interesting. Let's say if you borrow, I don't know, $5,000 $10,000, probably you don't want to share with your I don't know, colleagues or community that you borrow this, and again, privacy is issue here.
Gotcha.
I don't know, Jason, did I answer on your question? Because
yeah, I believe so, if he didn't answer. So actually, I have a question for Sarah and also for Andrew. So you guys mentioned you actually have a collaboration and it's working with the Incognito team to develop the layer 2 privacy solution. So do we have a timeline? How is the progress? are we expecting to see some deliverables in our near future?
Oh, you're on mute, Sarah.
Okay, we are actually expecting to have that kind of, privacy Neo token transactions in the middle of this year, but I need to check with, Incognito team for their process now. Actually, we already done with all the agreements last year, but they are developing it now. So, Andrey, how about the process now?
some kind of reporting. Yeah, actually, I hope it's going to be much faster than the end of this year. So we are working right now on universal trustless custodian. So then users can be assured that nobody actually have access to their funds. And we're already doing development on this for I think almost 2 months, and our positive estimation is this sprint, the latest by the end of the sprint. So we will definitely have trustless one for, let's say, for the users or demo perspective. If we will have a chance to present it some kind of to the community, we can implement within on the beginning of spring some kind of trusted connection, just for the demo cases without any kind of big funds. And then when people actually experience this, by the end of the sprint is going to be trustless solution.
I see.
So it's going to be fast. Hopefully it's going to be faster. I just hope this.
Cool. And so I think actually my questions is the same, similar to our second question raised by the audience. I think I can't really see the name of this audience, but he did ask when will he be able to use Neo confidentially. So what Andrew just explained somehow hope answer his question. So what I see, the third question is about Neo going to implement the way to store data to blockchain. When will this feature released? And he also want to hear more about the use case.
Okay, actually we have a few independent projects which is doing in this aspect. So for data putting onto blockchain, we are talking with a Singapore project. They are going to link some not only personal data but also business info for a company, like your registration informations, and we are trying to put that kind of information on top of Neo chains and in a encrypted ways, and we're going to find some verifiers, especially some government third parties or government development to help to verify this kind of data. And we also have our own Neo ID project. So that project is also a way to put personal data, especially the data about your own ID info to on chain and to share and process processing or to manage on top of blockchain. But we're still waiting this kind of technologies to build. Hopefully we can have a pilot or have a proof of concept project regarding this maybe in the middle of this year. Hopefully, yes.
Got it. So let's see. So the following question is about so once the integration between Incognito and the Neo is done, does it mean that the users can start trading Neo and BTC, USDT, ETH confidentially? So is this whole transaction be achieved by adopting the solution of cross-chain?
Yeah, it's actually a second cool thing about the integration between Incognito and Neo. As I mentioned, we're going to build some kind of universal layer 2 solution, and we will have bridges to Bitcoin and like Ethereum and like USDT accordingly. And the cool thing here, once we integrate to Neo, on Incognito chain, we have like cross-chain DEX, which allow you actually to do this kind of trade. So technically, new users, they will be possible to do like trade or swap with Bitcoin, Ether, USDT, even with Monero like privately. So technically, it's going to be a way. I think it's going to be maybe even like first ever use case when you can swap Monero to Neo in decentralized way without any kind of like middleman.
Oh, that's really nice. And let's see, do we have like more questions? Okay, there's new one. So can the Neo team shed more light on the challenges of native privacy?
Okay, I think he means that the challenges of support privacy originally on Neo blockchains. Actually, from technology perspective, we can easily support privacy or support ZK libraries by adding some functions in our VM machines, but we are still considering it because of regulations in different jurisdictions. So actually, we have some experiences in different countries, maybe and the regulators or the government mentioned that maybe they don't want to see that you can support privacy maybe on Neo blockchain originally. So we are still analyzing it to check that should we sacrifices the privacy functions by satisfy the government's requirement. So from tech perspective, it's easy.
I see.
I can add just like a quick moment.
Sure.
Last November, I had a chance to ask the same question Dafan Fei and CZ on Neo meetup in Singapore. And yeah, so the regulation was the first moment which Sarah mentioned. And the second moment which CZ mentioned is that most of public blockchains, they actually compete each other in terms of transaction speed and TPS, and implementation of ZKP into native on-chain. It's actually slowed down the network. And like that networks which implement it natively, they will like went down in terms of like speed and this kind of race. So for us it was quite positive moment because it's actually good motivation when like it means that like blockchain like Neo and Binance, they will focus more on like make it's like faster and scalable, and the projects like Incognito will focus on make it like private.
Got it. Thank you. So I think we have like one more question here. It's about the Incognito hardware device. So it seems like it looked like a mining baggage. So Andrew, would you mind explain further on it?
Yeah, sure. So I think I highlighted it briefly. So we created a node device. It works for proof of stake networks, and it's like a validating machine. So each this device, it's a validate transaction in the network and power network. Yeah, for like non-technical users, can explain like miner for proof of stake network. And the cool thing on this that if you want to power network, you don't need any kind of technical knowledge. It's a very cool like Apple style design when you just take your box, unplug, and connect to Wi-Fi and power network. And the cool thing of this device is that the first version works only for our chain, but upcoming like version modification can power any kind of proof of stake network. Like even Neo is delegated proof of stake, right? But it can work even for them. So any kind of.
Nice. Thank you for your answering. So we're also approaching end of the session, and okay, I think there's a following up question from the same question raiser. So he was asking about like, is Incognito running on proof of stake, Monero, Zcash, Beam, and Green, or run a proof of work? He just want to double check.
Yes, it's true. Incognito is like proof of stake network. Yeah, which allow us actually to to put all kind of required hardware in this small device. Like if it was proof of work, like you probably need some kind of like big miners to do it. And of course, this movement in terms of like energy efficient chains, yeah, it's proof of stake. Yeah.
Got it. So if there's no more like new questions, we're gonna end the session. And thank you again. And thank you for Sarah, Andrew, and everyone for participation today. So hope all of you enjoy the session. And since we will actually we recorded this session, and we will share the footage in the community. So there is chance you may watch this video and have further questions about Neo, about Incognito, and privacy topics. So you are more than welcomed to join our Telegram group, Neo Smart Economy, and to continue the discussion there. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and thank you for the call. And for the question, just it's just fun. Leave your comments if you have any questions, probably under video, and we will be monitoring and answering this. Yep.
Yes.
And sorry for the mess up with links.
That's okay. That's okay.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.